Sam, I want to turn to the subject of leadership, which, as you know, is near and dear to my heart. And I would really characterize you as maybe the founding father of the modern read industry. And one of the things you've done a unique job of is, on the one hand, straddling the divide between being a strong chairman and yet having great CEOs. That's typically oxymoronic. You either have one or the other, and you've been able to really straddle that divide and build great companies. How have you been able to do that?
I actually think that, I'm a great believer in quote, fair trade and free trade. Uh, those are both based upon the concept of comparative advantage. A long time ago, when I selected a partner who was a mechanical engineer, I recognized that I like to make rain and make big decisions, and he loved to clean up after. And so, what I recognized early on was that if I were going to be successful, I had to be able to delegate true authority, and and therefore, by doing so, I was building the people to run these businesses. And we've been very lucky. We've had a wonderful collection of CEOs in all of our real estate companies. Uh, but it's their company. I'm the strategist. I'm if necessary, the risk taker. But when it's all said and done, they got to be able to operate and operate without second guessing or anything else. And then I can evaluate, for the board's purposes, their performance, which I'm doing all the time. And sometimes, we've been in situations, not necessarily real estate, where the performance hasn't been adequate. Uh, and it was my job to opine on that. But the way in which you build, quote, powerful leaders, and built a bunch of powerful leaders, is to give them enough rope. And then it's the old lasso story. Either they make a lasso or they hang themselves. But by virtue of giving them the rope, you're also, creating the opportunity for them to be serious leaders.
Right.
That doesn't mean that
Sorry, go ahead.
they don't benefit from have an opinion, uh, and so yet not on a daily basis or in a manner that really interferes with their authority or their ability to build their own company, which is really what this is all about.
Right. So really, you're talking about complementary skill sets, much like you had with Bob as you built
Yes,
the business.
yes, exactly, and recognizing that, and if you look at the people who have been the CEOs, the companies have basically been run by him or her, dealing with the concepts and then coming up and selling them to me.
Right.
And that's the right, not me telling them what to do. It's them coming to me and saying, "Here's what I want to do," and I've encouraged them to do that. So that's the norm of the way it works.
Well, Sam, that's interesting because a lot of people, as you know, have asked me what makes Sam special or unusual. You've worked with him in a lot of contexts. And I said, he has a unique skill. Milton Friedman had this in an academic context. You have it in a business context, Sam, which is somebody can come to you having thought about something for 3 days, and in 4 minutes, you can just turbocharge it or say you've totally missed it and advance their thinking on strategy massively. How does that work?
Boy, I wish I knew, because then maybe I could communicate it to other people.
But you
Um,
think that's an
but
accurate
one of
description in some ways of what?
yeah, well, one of my mentors was Jay Pritzker, and when I described him, I would talk about how incredible it was that I would come up with this extraordinarily complex plan involving 18 steps. And I'd sit there at his desk and I'd lay it all out to him. And I know the weakness is number 8. And sure enough, he'd ignore all the rest of them and zero in on number 8. I think my experience is that I'm a very good listener. I'm really focused on listening. And frankly, I listen and I expect to understand. And if I don't understand, I have no humility. I have no problem saying, I don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't get it. You know, but it also gives me the ability to identify what are really the serious reasons to do or not to do something. And it's just the way my mind works that I'm constant. No matter how it's Bernard Baruch said nobody's ever gone broke taking a profit. You can always get better. I'll handle it if it good. But the real question is, what if it is? You know, what how can this go wrong? And I think the same manner, that's the way I've always. So when somebody comes and tells me a story, and frankly, that's what I do all day long, is I listen to my people come to me with ideas or things we're doing, and all I don't pay much attention to all of the wonderful hockey stick numbers that they come up with to justify their positions. I'm looking at it and saying, well, what's the downside? In other words, what could go wrong? How conceptually? Forget about the economy. The economy is going to go up. The economy is going to go down. Cycles are going to happen. But are there fundamental risks? Many years ago, I was in the payphone business, and I owned a bunch of payphones, and I actually thought it was a terrific business. And then, and one day, AT&T came out with no roam, and it was over. And I kicked myself time because I should have understood enough to know that was a possibility. And my thought process is I'm always looking at and asking the question, what's the possibility? And and sometimes it's worth taking the risk. The question I'm always asking my people is, are we getting paid for the risk? Because there's a lot of bad deals where there's very little risk.